My idea today, I think it'd be fun if we make a song from scratch and just have fun with it. If you have any idea of what direction you want this song to go, any particular style you want me to. Well, all right. I am. I'm there right now. Okay, cool. Yeah, but no, if there's any specific genre or something, this is the time to make suggestions because I'm going to start making a song. So I have my auxiliary set up, drums, instruments, and vocals, the main stuff. I know that I'm going to be routing stuff through there. I have my mix bus and then my master channel, and this is, routing so you guys can hear me. So this is kind of how I can monitor on the screen how much I'm sending you guys and, keep control of that and make sure that you're hearing what I'm making and all that. So yeah, that's what I have right now. So how do you make a song? Where do you start? You need some sort of idea, right? You need somewhere to go. But I got a bass guitar. I want to kind of just start off with an idea on the bass. And whatever we come up with, then I'm going to start making a beat to it. And then we're going to start adding instruments. We're going to start mixing it. And at some point in this session, it's going to start sounding like something. So, okay. All right, I'm going to go with the first beat. So I'm going to open up a drum track, and I'm going to start kind of with that idea. The first one I did, I'm going to play with that, and we'll see where that goes. So first, you're going to get a good tempo. So it was like somewhere around. So it's kind of slow. Okay, I'm going to keep it at 74. That sounds about good. I'm going to open a drum program. I have two that I really like. I'm going to try out Superior Drummer for this session, see how that goes. I actually believe I have a preset to open that track in one go. If I go to drums, I can select Superior Drummer. If I'm not mistaken, it's gonna open it all up. Let's see. There it is. Check that out. So I don't know if you know this trick. Bob Horn showed me how to do this. So essentially what I have is I have a Superior Drummer here, the plugin, opened up on an instrument track the way I was going to do so. And it's already at a setting where it's, good to start out. And let me see, I'm still live. All right, I'm still live. Cool. And the cool thing is that everything's already routed, accordingly, the way it should be, out of the plugin into auxiliary tracks. So what I'm going to be able to do now is mix this like I would traditionally. I have my kick in, out, the kick sub, my kick auxiliary all set up. And, I have my toms and everything, everything lined up, overheads, rooms. So that's being all routed to drums. Which drums? All right, these drums. All right. It's already rounding it to my drum bus. That's amazing. So it recognized somehow. I wasn't expecting that. It's okay, but I had to check that out. So I believe that if I hit record here and my piano is hooked up, I should already be able to start jamming out, and you should be able to hear this. All right, can you hear that? Let's see. Let me make sure you're listening to that. All right, you're getting that. Cool. Now, I might need to... No, we're good. Turning the sample rate down is just going to help hear things at a better pace. And I made a click track already. No, I did not. Let's do that. So I'm starting from scratch. Click track. There we go. And I'm showing you how I traditionally do things. And by now I already have like parts of my session all set up. I have an audio channel I'm not using for anything. Yeah, but this trick right here is really cool, where you can grab any group of tracks and check this out. This is a really good tip, and I have shown it before, I believe, when I went live. But for those that are listening to it for the first time, if you like this master section, for example, I can pull this up whenever I want. But if I really like this configuration of tracks, I can save these. And I don't know if I walk you through it, my voice is gonna cut off, but I can give it a shot. And you save it kind of like if you were changing, if you were saving a session, you just have to change the name of the file that is created. you have to go down to File. You have to have the track selected, of course. You need to hit Export, Selected Tracks as New Session. And you do that, and then it's going to ask you to save it. Let's see. And obviously not the main playlist to make sure you're not, copying any audio. You could, but that's not what we're trying to go for. No, that would make a mess. Actually, you shouldn't. And then you press OK. It's going to tell you where to do it. Now, let me see if I can find where I had everything recorded before. Pro Tools. Here we go. Track presets. That's where I'm doing it. So if I were to press save, can you hear me? Yeah, you can hear me. Cool. If I were to press save, I'd save this in the folder. And if you don't have a track presets folder, you make one. And then you can go ahead and save it. It's going to save it in a different name file, though, and you have to write it as PTXT. And then when you reopen Pro Tools and you create a new track, you're going to be able to see these options here. These are my folders that I made, and that's how you can save different presets of tracks. So that's how I pull this out. And let's hear the click. I don't want it to be too crazy loud, enough so I can get a feel of it. All right, and I'm going to play what I played on the bass. It was something like, no, it was like, it sounds too much like a Led Zeppelin sound, like but we could go for something different. Let's see. I like to have an idea before I actually start doing anything in the session, just an idea of where to go. So if I have that, then I have something. So let's start with something like that. All right. All right, and now that we have that, I have the drums and I can start playing something. And it's always important for me to play it, even though I'm not a drummer or a piano playing drummer, obviously. It's still going to have some sort of feel. I'm going to show you something that I do sometimes. And, because I'm not expecting that I'm going to play this exactly where I want it, but I can listen to it. And I'll listen to it without the click and see where I'm at, because I can fix this even a little better. So, all right, I'm going to grab all that. So I like this, and I can do some quantizing. I just have to be careful because it does have a swing to it, and I don't want to take that off. Let's grab that again. And yeah, I'll try to find a good place for it where I'm not really changing it too much. I'll do it to a certain percentage, and that sometimes really works, but I want to make sure it's moving it in the right direction first. All right, that looks like it's moved in the right direction. The swing isn't doing much though. At 100%, I don't know why. Less than 100. All right, that looks good. I'm just going to do the strength, like I said, around 70%. So it's a little still loose, I still conserve some of the timing, but it's going to put it closer to the grid. So what I like about this is I already did a sort of a premix when I made this these tracks before. So I can just pop them up, and as you can see, the volumes are already at a certain place that it's, decent. There's nothing really that's crazy about it. It's good enough where I can keep working on the song and not really have to fix anything drums wise. The hi-hat could be a little bit high. Maybe I can just turn that down. I have a group here that I didn't see. But yeah, once I have that, I can start making some sort of loop. And then I'm gonna start recording some bass. Let's do a little bit of bass. Got my bass guitar right here. It's a Fender Jazz Bass. Pretty good. I like it with both pickups on. That's kind of like the magic of it. It gets a very solid tone. It's very solid sounding, and it's also just, I don't know, pleasant at the same time. Let's see. I'm gonna connect it into my Shelfware channel. I'm gonna hook it straight up, and I'm gonna try to get a really good tone out of it, which won't be that hard. So I already have a channel set up. I just didn't know it was gonna be for the bass. Let's call it bass. See, I like everything to be named. I like everything to be clear. Sometimes there'll be parts of the song making process where I feel rushed and I feel creative and I feel like I don't want to spend time doing that. So, you know, that can happen. Obviously, that happens to all of us. But, you know, at some point during the process, the track is going to be named accordingly, you know. Let's see, bass. Let's turn that somewhere appropriate. Let's see. It's still pretty loud. There, and I'm gonna put some compression on it anyway. I'm gonna do some, let's do some medium fast. Gonna do a 4:1 ratio. Blend it at 100% for now. You can blend the amount of compression, which is pretty cool in these. How much compression do I want? A little more. All right, cool. I'm getting like around 7 dB of compression at the most, and getting some gain makeup. Turn in a little bit of saturation as well. Okay, maybe not too much. So bass is sounding pretty good. I'm gonna have the click on, just so I can hear myself go in, and then let's see what happens. Excuses, let's just go for it. All right, that sounded kind of good. At the end there, I didn't know where to go for it, but I think I got like some sort of cool something going on. I'm gonna listen back. I think that this is gonna be really easy to adjust when making music, especially if this is gonna be like rough tracks. I am very, you know, I won't spend a lot of time doing editing and things like that. So let's see if I can move this, quantize it, so to speak. So what I did there, for those that don't know, Pro Tools can let you turn any track into a, what do they call it? Elastic audio. And you know, you do this with this button right here. And I turn it into monophonic mode, which quickly makes it monophonic. And I went to immediately fix it, which I shouldn't have. You know what? Let me go back a step. So when you put it in elastic audio, it kind of finds all these transients so that when you quantize it, it's going to grab them from those places. But you have to be careful with that. And that's something I don't want to overlook. Because, see, it grabs all these in-betweens that are not really its own note. And I'm more worried about the main, you know, when I'm actually picking the notes. Sometimes it doesn't even grab the transients in the right spot. So I'm putting it at 94, and I know that it's not getting every single transient, and that's okay. I'd rather have that. And now I can pull up my trusty dusty, guy right here, and I used option 0 for that. And we're gonna hit apply and see if that sounds good. It's not doing it 100%, so I'm still keeping some of my groove with all of this. There's something about my performance. There's some little notes that I don't like. And sometimes, you know, there's some things that you can fix. I'm going to render this. It's going to sound better once I render it into Xform. It's just some of those like weird nuances that you hear, that you actually hear the plugin work, you know, fixing the time constraint. They're going to disappear with this. Let's give it a bit of time. All right, don't crash on me, Pro Tools. Come on. We're live streaming. All right, we're going to save that the way it is, commit to that. And there's going to be little things that I didn't like, certain attacks like these. That kind of stuff. And sometimes we use compressors to fix that stuff. And I'm all for compressors to fix stuff, but sometimes that's not the solution. Sometimes the easiest thing to do, rather than put a compressor to fix one thing that happens twice in a performance, is to go after that specific nuance that bothers you and just attack that manually. And that's really going to sometimes give you what you're looking for, the compressor, without having to mangle the audio further than necessary. All right, let's see if that helped. Like, I still hear it, but now it's not bothersome. Check it out. Before it sounded like this. You know, just a little like too much. What I did there, I just cut it up. I just cut it up, turned down the gain on this specific, you know, transient, and stitched it together, made some crossfades, a little bit of surgery. And I'll still probably use some compression, but sometimes some artifacts, they just happen in certain parts of the song. It's just don't be lazy in going after them. All right, that one's not that bad. And in order to get more of a vibe going really quickly, I like the Pro Tools gives you this option. Let's go harmonic, Zanzap. Have you used this guy? This guy's great. So I'm gonna turn down the gain because I'm going to do some stuff. Doing well. So that's the bass. We got drums, we got bass, we got the drums being routed all over here. Now let's bring in some guitar. So the bass, we got to give it a good color. What color do you want? What color do we make the bass? It's up to you. I'm going to start making the guitar track right here. I'm going to do a mono. I actually already, well, oh no, it's fine. Let's choose a plugin. Plugin straight, by the way, just like I did with the bass. Let's see. Guitar Touareg. This one's pretty cool. So this one by Waves gives you, like, you know, a lot of things that guitarists love. You got your pedals, you got your amps, you got a tuner, you got presets. So I'm going to use the amps. I'm going to link them together so the left amp is the same as the right amp, and anything I do in one channel goes over the next one. I'm going to put my pick in my mouth and I'm going to grab my guitar. All right. Gonna make sure our tuning's good, and then we're going to record something and find a good sound for it. The cool thing is with this kind of setup, and you know, when you're recording through a plugin, is you can record it first and then find a good sound for it. Now, I don't want saturation on this. I probably don't want compression either. Maybe just as limiting. So it's definitely a lot of compression. I'm gonna take that down. I'm gonna add extremely fast compression. I'm going to do a really high ratio, 8:1, which is the most it allows you. But I'm not going to let it touch it a lot. Let's see, P1. I might have to turn down the gain. All right. We don't need all this makeup gain anymore. There we go. Let's see. So if anything, I am taking down like 1 dB or 2, and that's really using it as a limiter. So this is what I got. This is a guitar. It's called Guitar Tool Rack, made by Waves, and I'm using it on the amp that it comes with. I'm using it also for the tuner, and that's just giving it the sound, and then it's going through this compressor, CLA 76, and yeah, sending it to this reverb, and now you're going to be able to hear what it sounds, and I'm going to start recording it. So if you didn't hear my guitar before, you're going to hear it now. It's going to sound good. Let's turn on the click, and let's give it a go. Okay, that sounded way better. See, with the better tuning, can't go wrong. Let me see if this compressor's doing its justice. Just gives it a lot more presence. Now, I'm going to get an EQ out though, and really quickly. Gonna get out what I don't need. Let's turn this click off, shall we? Care a lot of the low end because I think the bass really has it together. Move that guitar over to the side now and get something more interesting going on. So I have kind of like a solid bass, and sometimes songs, you know, when you're building them up, you know, it takes time to really hear where you're going. As far as, you know, what's in your head and what's still recorded, that sort of thing. So I'm going to create a new track here. We're going to call it, oh, wait, did I make it or not? All right, let's just duplicate what we have. There's a cool option where you duplicate tracks on Pro Tools, and, you know, it brings you just the same thing. You can pan it differently, choose a different effect, but you have some of the same stuff from the get-go, which is pretty nice. Gonna open my guitar. We're in link mode. All right, so anything I do in one is going to affect the other. Let's check it out. All right. Let's try that. We're gonna go for more exaggerated effect. Sorry, I'm talking through my pick in my mouth. That's not appropriate for live streaming. All right. Okay. This is where we come in with a different tone. You know, and kind of like introduce something different. still kind of working on the bass, on the bass of the song, but that's a little bit of an embellishment. Let's hear that without the click. You guys are not hearing the click, by the way. Something about the frequency it's playing I don't like. Try, even though it's not really that bad, the timing on the guitar, I'm gonna try to see if I can fix it really quickly. I'm not really like listening at the appropriate environment. But just trying to go with this as fast as possible too. But I want to see if I can get something that's just vibing a little better with the drums. And I'm going to Elastic Properties, not have this at 100%. Oh, what's that? Never mind that. Somewhere there. It's going to grab some of the transients and try to put them in place. Yeah. All right. Boom. Let's see if that works. If it doesn't, I'll take it off. It's sounding interesting, but right now it just sounds very plain to me. I need to give it something more ethereal. So I'm going to try to find something appropriate that I can play on the keyboard that gives it a sort of otherworldly feel, that doesn't just sound like a 3-piece band. You get what I mean? So all the tracks, gotta make them small. Let me introduce you to this program actually. And it's going to be kind of the same thing as the drums, where I already have a preset where I have an entire section, dedicated for Sample Tank. Sample Tank is the plugin I like to use for a lot of my digital, effects and, instruments and that sort of thing. So what I'm bringing up right now is, the plugin itself and about 7 different, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... Yes, 7 different MIDI tracks, and then 7 different auxiliary tracks that are coming out of this plugin. So everything's already ready and set to go. And I think I already have a pad, in here already programmed. It's coming out of its own auxiliary. So if I play it on the piano, the cool thing about that is that I already have a starting point, and maybe I'm not gonna go for that sound, but it's a very plug and play kind of thing. It's already also being routed to my instruments bus, and I think that's magic. So yeah, I'm gonna start playing the pad and see what I can get. And I like to organize when I'm making the song. It's a different part as to when I'm mixing. I like to see everything that I'm working on together. So I'm gonna put MIDI tracks and audio tracks together. And even though the sound is being routed somewhere else, I don't really want to see that right now. All I want to see is everything that I'm working on. So I'm going to start recording some pads here and see what happens. All right, figuring it out as I go. All right, cool. If you struggling like I am to play the notes, it doesn't matter much. I don't know if I like this. I started early on it, but it's kind of cool. I like where it's going. Let's turn down the volume on that somewhere appropriate mix-wise. I need to kind of wait until the pad stops itself so that I can talk. But it'd be a good time to actually change the sound. It's a little too leaning on the low frequencies, and I don't want it to be that dark. It's actually called a dark ambient pad. So let's see what else we have. No, definitely not that. Something a little more ethereal, you know, something that really kind of figure. I gotta figure out what I did there guitar wise. I'm not finding the chord. All right, it's much simpler than I even thought. Okay. All right. And then sometimes also, if I'm not finding a particular sound, there's a plugin by Pro Tools that's actually really good. You know, Expand sometimes, you know, could be very limited in where you want it to go. And, you know, so that's why you get other things. But as far as something to start out with, it gives you really good pads. It's one of those things that it's good for. There's just one note that I don't like. There's something going on here. This is supposed to just be a... So now we're at a part where I want to start actually mixing this because you're not getting a clear idea of where I'm going with it yet. So I'm going to kind of, once I have like enough of the bass, you know, figured out, I'm going to put just bass and drums and see where that's it. So I want more kick for sure. There's some frequencies that I'm kind of missing from the bass. All right, then guitar. So now we have something that I could go over, and now we can introduce some sort of melody to this. And now this is where it's going to start getting a certain direction. So yeah, I wanted to get to here. we can either make a new guitar track like this or duplicate what we've already done. I think it's easier. We're gonna do a lead. Let's see. All right, just getting a text. All right, and let's hit record. Get my guitar. Now we're gonna do a lead, and this is really going to give us, you know, some sort of I don't know, some actual direction now. We're gonna leave this original song, you know, sound that we had, and I'm gonna change it up, but for now it's good for performing something. Make sure I don't record over nothing. So we're in E minor. Okay. I'm using this. I might keep some of it, but I'm using it more to listen back to something that I can change the tone to. And if we're going to use that tone, for example, I am gonna make sure, you know, hold on, gotta take this out. Previous guitar, I'm leaving in some just a filter on the one that does this kind of thing. Yeah, but on this new one, I do want to mess with it as well. Compressors really want to help bring out all the nuances of the playing without turning up the volume that much. Don't need that much compression. Attack time, release time. All right, that looks good. Help as well. So just taking off some of the low frequencies that really don't belong to that guitar, it kind of throws me off. All right, so then I have a tone that I feel like is gonna blend better with the track itself. So let's come up with something a little more catchy. Gotta make sure I'm tuned. That's always important. So layering ideas together for a song idea. And let's see where we're at right now. Sounds kind of interesting. With the guitars and generally arrangement, and you're gonna notice. Let's play these guitars together. Check this out. What if I take a low pass filter and put it on this guitar? Let's see if that works. I feel like one of these guitars has to suffer for the good sake of all of them. And I don't know which one yet. Or check it out, make this one really narrow. This could also work. Immediately there's a lot more magic going on between the instruments, and all I had to do is select the right instruments, just kind of sacrifice because they're all hitting the same frequency range, and sometimes with the arrangement you can get away that you don't have to do something like this. But in this arrangement that I'm just coming up with at the top of my head while I'm going live, I mean, they're all kind of battling the same frequency, so I had to choose one of them. And the lead sometimes, you know, I've heard certain songs and certain recordings where the lead guitar is really muffled and it sounds really good. And a lot of it, you know, when I think back, some of the songs were from Queen. I remember there was I don't remember what song it was from Chicago that I was here on the radio, and it had a muffled kind of electric guitar to it. And it was probably because of this, you know, because it fits really better with the mix, especially when there's already a lot of things in that range. The mix a little bit more. That's kind of where we're at so far. It's already starting to sound like something complete, you know, and it's you know, obviously all digital. I think one of the things that is helping the drums out right now is the fact that I play them rather than be completely quantized. I already started to hear things that I would change up, and I have an auxiliary here for the for the snare. Kind of taking some of that high end from the snare and giving it some low end in exchange. I think it helps. It sounds a little darker, but it sounds better. You can get really decent fast sounds, and that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to communicate with this live stream, is that, you know, we have ways to work faster in Pro Tools. A lot of these things are having things that are already pre-set up. That way I was already like pulling out things, you know, ready to go. Like I have all this stuff from Sample Tank that just pops up. I have my drums all routed, and there's a lot of prep work that you can do, and there's, you know, certain ways that you can work to get things done faster. Pro Tools can sometimes not be the fastest program, and I've been, you know, I've seen it being made fun of, that, you know, that's why they use it in recording studios, so that they can charge you more, you know, for time. But it really depends on the user and the kind of project that you're working on. I know a lot of the shortcuts, and then that definitely helps me go around stuff. But there's a lot of cool things that didn't exist before back then in recording, where this sounds like it's, you know, it almost sounds like an idea that a band put together, and it's not, you know, it's just me playing with you guys live here. And a lot of that is this functionality of having plugins that can let you record a sound and then tweak it as you want it. It's been part of the creative process, especially when you're one person. You know, when you have two people, it's great because one person's playing the guitar while the other one's at the controls listening to what's going on. But when you're the guitarist and you're playing, you need to record something and then just kind of stop and let that recording play through, and you be the guy that tweaks it. So that kind of workflow is only now available thanks to, you know, the technology we have. It sounds westerny in some strange way. Another thing that I could do, just top of my head, it's really important for me to double guitars, and I'm not gonna double this one right now because I don't want to. If I'm making a song for sure, for real, then I would double it. I wouldn't not double it. But since I don't want to double it and I want to give you the idea, like if it were, let's try this out. So I'm gonna copy this track down here. Same setting, same everything. But we're going to pan one to the left and another one to the right. Now, if you're smart enough, you should know, or if you know it, we'll scratch that because you might be really smart and just not know this. But if I play this, it's just going to sound the same. Turn down the volume just to compensate because we have two tracks now instead of just one. So it turns it up by 3 dB. So I'm turning them down 3 dB, and it's going to sound still like mono. And I'm going to put a time adjuster on one of them. I think I have one, a delay time adjuster, and it does it by samples. So check this out. Can I link these together maybe somehow? Doesn't let me link them, so I have to move them independently. All right. That already sounds good. Let me see if less samples is desirable. 921, let's see. So just by delaying one side of the performance, you already have that, at least that nuance, you know, that feel. So now that I have guitar doubled, I'm gonna change the panning a bit. that. So now we're gonna put this guitar up. All the way on this speaker, and then try to see if, you know, this sounds better. I'm gonna go a little bit more extreme here. It might work. Instantly I feel like I got more clarity for these two, you know, extra guitars. Everything sounds a little clear. It sounds a little more produced. It sounds less like a live performance, a little more like it went to the studio. It's actually sounding kind of cool. So yeah, this is just something I did during this live stream, just for fun. And I hope that you could, you know, get something out of it. There were a lot of things that I shared, different ways that I do things, different things that I route. And I'll be logging in more often, making more shows. Take care, guys. See you next time.